Good evening, councillors and officers, members of the public who are joining us this evening in the gallery and those that are watching the live stream. Welcome to the June meeting of Corangamite Shire Council. Can I begin with a prayer, please? We ask for guidance and blessing on this council. May the true needs and well-being of our communities be our concern. Help us who serve as leaders to remember that all our decisions are made in the best interests of the people, culture and the environment of the Corangamite Shire. Amen. Our acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land around Corangamite Shire, the Eastern Maar and Wadawurrung people. We pay our respects to all Aboriginal elders and peoples past, present and emerging. Now, I'll introduce our councillor team who are with us this evening. We do have an apology from Councillor Geraldine Kennedy, but to my left is Councillor Joe Beard, Councillor Kate Macon, Councillor Jamie Vogels, and to my right is Councillor Laurie Hickey and Councillor Nick Cole. We also have an apology this evening from our CEO Andrew Mason, and to my right is my acting CEO this evening is Director of Works and Services Brooke Love. We have Mr David Madden, who is acting in the role of Corporate and Community Services. Director Justine Linley, Director of Sustainable Development, Mr Aaron Moyne, Manager of Planning and Building Services, Mr Klaas Merkel, who's joining us for the first time as a Planning Officer, welcome Klaas, and James Plozza, who is our Governance Coordinator. So welcome everybody this evening. Ms Love, we have apologies from Councillor Kennedy and Mr Mason. Do we have any declarations of conflict of interest?
Yes, Madam Mayor, through you, we have one declaration of conflict of interest, and that's from yourself with relation to item the deputations and item 9.1.
Thank you, Ms Love. Councillors, the minutes of the meeting held on the 24th of May have been circulated. Would someone like to move those minutes, please? Councillor Macon, seconder. Councillor Cole, thank you. Any comments or questions on the minutes? All those in favour? It's carried. Deputations and presentations, Ms Love.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. We have two deputations for tonight's meeting, one in relation to agenda item 8.1 from Mr Peter Eunice on behalf of Ali Eunice, and another in relation to item 9.1 from Ms Alison Byrne.
Thank you. Mr Eunice, if you'd like to move to the lectern, please, and you have 5 minutes to address council. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. Thank you very much for allowing us to present this deputation and for turning up at the site meeting. I'm going to do 5 minutes is a short time, so I'll talk fast. I'm going to do three things. First one is to summarise the relevant planning documents as presented by Mr Merkel in your agendas. I'm going to also provide an alternative interpretation of those documents as it applies to this particular proposal at this particular site, and we're also going to suggest some alternatives to the current proposal. So, what does the planning scheme say? There are probably two parts of it. One is an overlay, the DDO3 overlay. The other is a municipal planning strategy and the planning policy framework, and that's in particular clause 11 and clause 15. They're in page 8 and 9 of your agendas. The guts of that is that the objectives of the planning scheme are to protect the existing low-scale coastal character and identity of Port Campbell, and to ensure that new development in Port Campbell is site-specific and site-responsive. I think that's really relevant. It also, the planning scheme is quite clear about infill, about subdivisions. The planning scheme supports, and I emphasise, this is what it says, small-scale infill development on existing large lots. Okay, so the Ali's objections were fairly specific. One was about overlooking. The report presented by Mr Merkel suggests that the changes to the design have addressed that, and it's interesting that you state that the objection prior to the changes was valid, and I would say the two changes are that the building actually was moved closer to the alley's back fence. Now, I don't see how that actually improves things. The second aspect of the change to the design was a semi-opaque fence, which at 1.7 metres, it's about there, was put into the outdoor entertainment alfresco area. I would argue that in fact that would increase the lack of privacy because people would be standing up, walking up, looking over it to see what's over the other side. I would also want to address the building mass and scale, and we are not objecting about the fact that it's a two-storey building. And I would say that the building proposed, it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom, double garage building. It is not small-scale infill development. It's large scale. And it's definitely not maintaining the low-scale coastal character. But most importantly, this particular site, it's a sloping block. It's been put right up against the boundary of 50 Hennessy Street, which actually increases the overlooking because of that slope. And two-storey blocks like the houses like that there's a few of them in town, some of them in Tregay Street and Cairn Street. They're quite suitable there. I don't think this particular large mass building plonked right in the middle of a block is a suitable. I don't think it complies with the planning scheme. The neighbourhood character, the argument put forward as to why you should accept this is that the town is in a state of transition. I can see nothing in the planning guidelines that suggests that the role of planners is to facilitate a transition from a quiet seaside village to something else. And to say that the design is suitable simply because the town is in this state of transition does not uphold the planning guidelines. And just because other decisions have allowed developments like this that don't fit the guidelines, in my opinion, it doesn't mean that you do the same mistake. So, what's the solution? I think there are, in fact, a number of options for the proponent. They can continue with their subdivision and, in fact, build a small-scale development as per the planning guidelines. They can continue with the subdivision, put their large building at the front of the block on Pitcher Street and build or shift another building into the middle of the block next to Ali's fence. Or they could simply not proceed with a subdivision and build their large building once again further up towards Pitcher Street. So it's not 4.5 metres, that's not very far, looking straight down on our daughter's block. So council, tonight you'll make a decision that considers the issue of when are the desires of an individual to push the limits of a planning scheme reasonable, and when does the impact on other residents render their interests not reasonable. And I also ask you to consider the fact that in your deliberation that rejecting this proposal does not mean that the proponents have no options. In fact, we've suggested 3 alternatives that would achieve the majority of their aims without the significant impact on the amenity of their neighbours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Younis. That was very well done in your 5 minutes. Thank you. Ms Love, we have a presentation from Ms Alison Byrne.
Ms Alison Byrne.
Regarding the Camperdown Courthouse. As I'm a volunteer at the courthouse, I have declared a conflict of interest, so I'll leave the chamber for the presentation.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillors, as the Mayor has declared a conflict of interest in relation to this matter, seeking a nomination for an acting chair to progress the deputation.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Joe Beard.
And do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Macon. All those in favour? Thank you, Councillor Beard.
Thank you, and through you, Acting CEO. So this is in relation to item 9.1, so deputation. So Ms Byrne, thank you. As the previous deputation, 5 minutes, if that's okay, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
That's fine. Thank you, Jo. And thank you, councillors. Yes, I'm Alison Byrne, the Chair of the Courthouse Committee, and I have with me tonight Amanda Manifold, our Vice Chair, and Kaz Harris, our Treasurer. Firstly, the grant that we received from Council in 21-22 financial year has been truly valued and allowed us to understand the true cost of keeping the doors open of the courthouse. But our community now needs us to go beyond these initial steps to creating the type of organisation that integrates our community activities and actively promotes the amazing opportunities to see, hear and enjoy our hidden tourist sites, our amazing artists and musicians, our many creative and unique retail offerings throughout the Shire, and our outstanding events. We are the hub of Camperdown. At least that's our vision. We are in an amazing Camperdown historical building owned by Council, right in the centre of town. And by leasing it to the community, you have created the opportunity for an organisation that is run by the community for the community. We have achieved so much in such a short space of time with a small group of committed and fabulous volunteers, whilst under the shadow of COVID, lockdowns and absenteeism due to life events, illnesses and job relocations. This is highlighted by our 67 volunteers that we said we had 12 months ago when we presented to you. We are down to 23. That hasn't stopped us though. Some of our improvements have included digitalised financials and implemented the digital point of sale system, our Square, purchased and installed people counter software to provide accurate visitor numbers, not for us just to report back to Council, but for granting purposes, applying for grants. A training program for volunteers, establishing an onboarding process. Established our retail program, including our own Camperdown labelled merchandise. We have a focus on local vendors in the first instance, followed by regional products and of course all Australian made. We've secured funding of $10,000 to extend the Story Towns concept by a further 5 podcasts, which will build on what Council initiated. Established a charity program to support local organisations with a 2-month commitment, such as Uniting Church with the Gerbers late last year, Sunnyside selling their T-shirts, and currently Neighbourhood House with their Knitting for a Cause. We've launched our All Ability Access ramp, as you know, and soon to be a working automatic door. Partnered with Historical Society to bring our past to life in the courthouse. We have invested our time in reviewing, understanding and actioning ways in which we can bring together in a coordinated fashion information about the many activities within the community, so that we can drive local and visitor traffic to the courthouse, where through disseminating information we can ignite an interest in our vibrant, diverse community. What do we want to achieve in the coming year? Build our volunteers, our ambassadors and our committee members' numbers. Pilot an 8-hour coordinator position to pick up the administrative tasks whilst we rebuild our volunteer capacity. Hold a community forum in October with local business owners, event organisers, organisations, leaders in the community and general community to ask the question, how can we promote your activities? Embed, understand and grow our retail offering, which is our business arm and will enable us to be self-sustaining in the long term. Attend to the aesthetics of the space by painting the inside of the courthouse and integrating a better lighting system to attract sophisticated artists and build our art and culture theme. Create a historical presence in the Magistrates' Room, developing our partnership with the Historical Society. Build on our knowledge, collateral and presentation of our visitor information, and build on our education and training of our ambassadors with tours of the region with local identities to deepen their knowledge. Develop
Sorry,
a-
Ms. Byrne. 1 minute to go, thanks.
Develop our community activities such as a new to town event, engage with our youth. We've all got our working with children checks to put that in place. Take advantage of opportunities like celebrating the Clock Tower birthday, and apply for grants and build business partnerships to help us build our capacity to enable us to make these changes. Another year of core funding from Council will provide the committee with the opportunity to create a sustainable business whilst developing our community hub concept and piloting the employment of an 8-hour coordinator position to manage the ambassador program, ensuring that volunteering at the courthouse is rewarding. This is a long-term strategy that will evolve and enable us to create a community hub model where we can support the activities of local business, our local events and organisations to provide our visitors with the best experience possible. We are clear about our strategy and future direction. We remain aligned to our pillars of community, tourism and art and culture. We are about partnership with Council, our local businesses, our event organisers, our community. We understand our capacity and know the challenges that slow our progress. We just need the support of Council to enable our vision to be realised. There is a great opportunity here with the right people in the right place at the right time. Let's partner and capitalise on this opportunity. Thank you.
Thanks, Alison. Councillors, we'll just get the Mayor back in the room. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, councillors, to the agenda. We're up to item 8, which is planning reports. Item 8.1, planning permit application PP 2021-199, the construction of a second dwelling, 2-storey and a 2-lot subdivision. Mr Merkel, can I ask you to, Mr Moyne, to introduce this item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you I present Council with this report for planning permit application PP 2021-199. The application seeks planning approval for the 2-lot subdivision of land and construction of a 2-storey dwelling at 33 Pitcher Street, Port Campbell. The proposed dwelling includes 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms and a double garage to be constructed from a combination of rendered masonry and external cladding. The maximum building height is proposed to be 8.34 metres above the finished floor level. The proposed 2-lot subdivision incorporates Lot 1 containing the existing dwelling, which will have an approximate area of 347 square metres with frontage to Pitcher Street, and Lot 2 for the new dwelling in a battle axe configuration with an area of 648 square metres. The site is located in the general residential zone and subject to the Design and Development Overlay Schedule 3, which both require a planning permit. The DDO in particular for the construction of a 2-storey dwelling, and it sets design objectives and standards for Port Campbell, which, as Mr Eunice has referred to, reflect and seek to maintain the character and the existing low-scale built form within Port Campbell. Public notice of the application has been given, and Council has received 1 objection, which raises issues regarding overlooking, privacy, building mass and scale, and neighbourhood character. The issues raised by the objection have been reviewed and addressed within the planning report, particularly those relevant to building design and amenity impact from the development. Assessment of the application finds that proposed development is supported and provides an acceptable planning outcome. The design of the dwelling and subdivision appropriately responds to clause 55 and 56, which provide residential design objectives and standards, whilst maintaining the established coastal character of Port Campbell, and provides an acceptable site design response. I note the key for you tonight, councillors, for the application is really around the design and development overlay and the design objectives that are set out within the overlay as to what is appropriate development within Port Campbell and for the site itself. At the the design and development overlay not being applied to the property, the development would meet all the requirements from a residential design perspective. So the recommendation is provided before you.
Thank you, Mr Moyne. Councillors, there's a recommendation. Someone like to move the recommendation or an alternative?
Could I move an alternative, Madam Mayor?
Yes, you can, Councillor Vogels.
So I'd like to move an alternative motion, a notice of refusal to grant a permit, and it'd be based on the following grounds. Number one, I think the design outcome of the development is inconsistent with DD03 and does not respect the existing low-scale coastal character, and identify of Port Campbell and will have detrimental impact on the amenity of neighbouring properties by way of overlooking excessive bulk, scale, height on this site. Number two would be the development is inconsistent with DD03 and does not provide site-specific response for the site and the surrounding areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Do you have a seconder? Councillor Cole. Councillor Vogels, would you like to speak to your motion, please?
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. Going down on site gives you a much different perspective to the conditions down there than looking at maps and stuff. And I think site specific or sited specific on the block is what it's all about. Where it's sited at the back of the block is where it overlooks the house behind, which is set down even lower, which almost gives the appearance of a 3-storey house, but a 2-storey house monstering over the top of that house. So I think it's just invasion, or not invasion, but it's privacy issues and bulk and size issues in the actual position it's sited in. Anywhere else on the block or further up the block is probably not much of an issue, but where it is, it's just it doesn't fit in with the DD03. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Councillor Cole, did you have some comments to make?
Not much, Madam Mayor. Just the same as Councillor Vogels. Really, it's a big house on a highly sloping block, and it's just like a massive brick wall right in behind the other house. So it's sort of shattering over. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors? Councillor Beard?
Oh yeah, through you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I was a bit torn on this one, and it wasn't until I've heard, obviously, Councillor Vogel's refusal and the deputation made earlier by Mr. Eunice, that it kind of come through to me that I'm not comfortable with the application as it sits and the officer recommendation, which I thank Mr. Class for his report. It's very in-depth and detailed, and I thank both you and Mr. Moyne for joining us, and Ms. Lindley too for joining us on site to actually get a full feeling of what we're voting on here tonight. And obviously the overlooking was a significant issue, and I appreciate that there's been some steps taken and some mitigation applied to I guess to not have the overlooking being such a significant issue, but I still don't think it's enough. I think there is some other options or other opportunities that still have been left not really taken into account, and I would have liked to have seen some more work done in this area. It is a significant house for an infill site. I don't have an issue whatsoever with the fact that it's a 2-lot subdivision, or that we have an opportunity to provide infill to Port Campbell, and I know for a fact this won't be the last time that we see such an application like this, but I think we have to be really careful about the precedent that we're setting, that if we just let this one go through with the objections that have been that have come through on this, that are we setting ourselves up for more into the future. So I'd really like to see the applicants do some more work around the protection and not so much all about privacy, but the rights of those people that live around them, and that it's not all about overlooking and that your privacy is now gone. I still believe there's some work that could be done there. So I will be supporting Councillor Vogel's refusal motion. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillors? Councillor Macon, sorry, then Councillor...
Both jumping in. Thanks, Madam Mayor. I feel the neighbourhood character of Port Campbell is an evolving one, and this being experienced in seaside resort towns across Victoria and Australia, which start out as a small settlement with a few cottages and then progress into larger villages and towns with more permanent residents living in larger homes. There are numerous two-storey dwellings throughout Port Campbell, therefore I feel that this proposal is not out of character as a two-storey dwelling. With the privacy issue, the applicant has taken steps to mitigate this issue by using a 1.7 metre high obscure safety glass screen across the upstairs alfresco. Ensures that the overlooking into the objector's backyard has been kept to a minimum. Also, with the condition of number 8 of the landscape plan, I'm confident with this help it will provide a visual screen and help with the issue of privacy. The neighbourhood character of Port Campbell is in a stage of transition from its original quiet seaside resort village with modest cottages to a highly populated seaside town with increasingly higher standards of development and accommodation on offer. The development of a second dwelling at the rear of existing dwellings has become increasingly popular and is influencing an acceptable change in neighbourhood character. I support small-scale infill development on existing large lots. So this helps with the lack of housing and accommodation types within Port Campbell to help cater for the growth of residents and visitors. So therefore I cannot support Councillor Vogel's motion tonight. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Macon. Councillor Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor. I think it's all been said now from the previous 4 speakers. When I first read this application, I did believe that it was probably not really in character with Port Campbell. I haven't been to the block, I haven't seen the location, but having spoken to some of the people who have visited and who are living in the area, and having listened to Mr. Eunice's deputation tonight, I have no problems with supporting Councillor Vogel's submission and rejection of this policy, I think, and of this recommendation, and I think we do need to be very careful to make sure we do look after people's privacy and keep a seaside village like Port Campbell in context to what it should be. So I've got no problem supporting this.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Vogels, did you want to finish the debate?
No, I think I've said it all. Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's just and I'm on the same boat with some of the other stuff. That I'm not against two-storey houses in Port Campbell if they're situated in the right spot. I'm not against subdivisions into small lots if it's done well, small scale. Even if the two-storey house was obviously further up the hill and not monitoring the house behind it, I don't have an issue. But it's just the siding of this on the block is unacceptable.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Vogels. Councillors, if there's nothing further, we'll put it to Councillor Vogels' motion to the vote. All in favour? Against? Motion's carried. Move on now to officers' reports. Councillors, 9.1 is the budget for 2022-2023. Mr. Madden.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report is to consider and adopt the 2022-2023 budget, incorporating the 22-23 fees and charges schedule in accordance with the Local Government Act. The 22-23 budget maintains Council's sound financial position with a strong commitment to high standard of services complemented by a significant capital works program. The 22-23 budget presented to Council is balanced and has regard to the key indicators that reflect Council's financial sustainability. The attached budget has been prepared in accordance with the best practice model budget and constitutes the public document that will be subject to public review.
Thank you, Mr. Madden. Councillors?
Mayor, may I
Councillor Hickey?
foreshadow a motion?
Yes.
That the council, and I believe that you'll probably have a conflict of interest having already declared it for the earlier.
So this is with relation to Camperdown Courthouse?
With relation to Camperdown Courthouse.
Okay, I'll leave the chamber and pass on the reins to Ms. Love.
Thank you. Mayor, councillors, again, as the Mayor has declared a conflict of interest in relation to shadowed motion from Councillor Hickey, could I seek nominations for an acting chair to consider the foreshadowed motion?
I nominate Councillor Joby, please.
Thank you, Councillor Macon. Do I have a seconder? Oh, thank you, Councillor Vogels. All those in favour? Thank you. Councillor Beard.
Thank you, Ms Love, and obviously we'll deal with the foreshadowed motion on the table now, so if you could read your foreshadowed motion, please, Councillor Hickey.
Certainly. That the council note the presentation and submission made by Camperdown Courthouse Incorporated and refer for consideration the once-off $10,000 contribution to the first quarter of the 22-23 budget review.
Thank you. Do you have a seconder for that motion, please? Councillor Vogels, Councillor Hickey.
Yes, Mayor, the timing of this was somewhat snuck up on us quite quickly, and following some debate today, I think it's probably deserves to have consideration at a later date. So therefore, by deferring the contribution and the discussion to the first quarter of the budget review, I think we'll get a very good outcome for the discussion.
Thank you. Councillor Vogels?
I was just in agreement with Councillor Hickey, and yeah, hopefully we can sort it out with the first quarter review.
Any other comments or questions, councillors? So we're all on the understanding that this is to further discussion and consideration at the first quarter of 22-23 budget review. So we'll put that motion to the vote. All those in favour? Against? That motion's carried. I'll leave the chair now for the Mayor to return for item 9.1.
Thank you, Councillor. Thank you.
Thank you, councillors. That should be the end of musical chairs for this evening. Fun. Good. Very good. So now we're moving to the, I'm assuming it's only the foreshadowed motion, Councillor Beard.
Yeah, so we're up to 9.1.
Let's move, right, so we're back to the budget. Councillors, someone like to move the recommendation relating to the remainder of the budget? Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Macon, thank you. Councillor Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this budget is a very well trawled over and thought through document. I have heard it described in other terms, but I'll choose those words for tonight's meeting. There's been a lot of opportunity for community consultation through this budget process, and whilst there's an inability to satisfy everybody's wants and needs, I think that there has been some wonderful budgetary discipline applied to this document. So I'm very proud to have had part of it. Of course, the delivery of this budget is going to be quite difficult, or going to be quite interesting this year with the inflationary pressures that we're seeing applied to so many different contracts. The ability to deliver products has been challenged. The Works team have done a fantastic job delivering what they have, but as we all know, when we set our household budgets, the fuel, energy costs, food items have all had an upward shift in cost, and so I can see that foreshadowing the budget. So I'd be looking forward to the first quarter review, but I'm very pleased to move the budget as it stands at the moment.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Macon.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. Rates and charges will account for 43% of total council revenue for the 22-23 budget. An increase in rate income is required to meet council's aspirations and community expectations for new and existing infrastructure. The 22-23 budget will also have significant amount of carry forward expenditure associated with a number of high value multi-year projects such as the Port Campbell Streetscape and the 12 Apostles Trail. The total capital works program will be 16.88 million, which is quite substantial for a little shire of ourselves. The roads will be 7.62 million, buildings were 1.7 million, and plant and equipment 1.8 million. As Councillor Hickey has alluded to, we do have a few challenges, such as increased fuel cost, ongoing economic impacts of COVID-19 pandemic, the cost shifting and expansion of service delivery. But there is a few wins and a few highs in the budget. Firstly, we got trainees program for the early years, which is great with next year kindergarten being free. So we need more of these people more than ever. So it would be great to have some more trainees in this area. Small business assistance program will be happening, and so that helps to get the tourists and the visitors back to the towns and to show what we have to offer, which is great. And the Skipton and the Simpson Recreation Reserve, the Trang Bowling Club, the Camperdown get cricket nets, and there's bridge replacements for the Camperdown Timboon Rail Trail. So all these are getting money invested in them, so to help us to all maintain a very healthy and active lifestyle, which is only a benefit for us of the Corangamite Shire. So I'm more than happy to pass this budget, and I just would like to thank all the officers' involvement for getting this budget where it is today. You've all done a power of work, and it's great that we've got here tonight, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Macon. Councillors? Councillor Beard?
Oh yes, through you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to reiterate our thanks to the finance team and the organisation as a whole for preparing our draft budget and obviously getting it to the adoption stage tonight. It's not an easy task to do, and when we're working in the confines of such a volatile financial state for not only for ourselves but right across the globe, it's an interesting space to be in, and we've always been committed to doing our business as usual before we start bringing in other projects to do. And I think this budget is it's an absolute reflection of that we're being prudent in that we're doing what we need to do first and foremost, and then we're bringing on some pretty awesome projects on top of that, but mindful that we need to continue on with our business as usual. I think I'd like to think that we're caretakers when we're here on council, that we're only here for, we don't always know how long we're here for, but the way we prop up our council into the future is about how we financially are sustainable. And I think we put on a pedestal our long-term financial plan and our asset management. And I think when we form the budget, it's pretty cool to see it all come together, based on the fact that we do think about what's going to happen tomorrow. The fact that we're not taking on any new borrowings shows that we've got wriggle room if we do need that. So I think we're very responsible in that regard. We've always stayed true to ourselves, and I congratulate this council on doing the same thing as what we've been setting ourselves up for the previous years, getting to hear that we're going to continue on in that method. So once again, truly respecting the long-term financial plan and the asset management plan too. I won't go into the initiatives again. Councillor Macon has alluded to a few of those, and there is some really amazing projects that we should be really proud of, or that the community should be really proud of going over the next 12 months. I just think, particularly just as you spoke to about the apprenticeships and traineeships, it really shows that we value our youth, particularly in our communities, and that we really want our younger people to think about having a future at Corangamite Shire. So I'm really excited to be supporting such projects like that. So thank you, and that will be it for me. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillors, any further comments? Just one aspect which I think was highlighted by the council's community vision that was done last year was the issue around climate change, and it's really pleasing to see that the council is going to recruit a climate change and emissions reduction officer for a fixed term of 2 years, which I think is going to be fantastic. They'll work with our communities to drive energy and water saving initiatives. Council's also going to look at installing electric vehicle charging stations at the council office and our depots as we transition our fleet over to an electric fleet. We also have ongoing our environment support grants, which are always very, very popular and help our community groups and individuals implement environmental projects, which is fantastic. And I think that Ms Love, you'll agree that we're looking at ways of improving our drainage throughout our towns, particularly for those severe storm events. So it's an aspect. Climate change has certainly been addressed by council over the years in a number of different ways, but I think that this year we really are putting in many more initiatives, and I look forward to that growing over the years. But I'd like to thank Mr Madden in his role as acting in the department, and Mr Taylor and the finance team, and particularly all staff who put this budget together from the ground up every year. So $58 million budget, it's a lot of money, and we're very, very mindful of how we spend those valuable dollars. So councillors, if there's no further comment, I'll put it to a vote. All in favour? Carried. Item 9.2 is the Council Plan Review and Annual Action Plan for 2022-23. Ms Love, could you introduce this, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, Council adopted the Council Plan 21 to 25 in June 2021, and the plan sets the broad strategic direction for the Council for the next 4 years. While the Local Government Act no longer requires Council to review the plan, it is considered to be good practice to do so, and Council have reviewed the plan recently, and the consensus was that it still remains current, and that the themes reflects the priorities of the Council. The Annual Action Plan is a supplementary document that demonstrates what actions and activities will be undertaken for the year, and Council has developed the Annual Action Plan for 22-23 concurrently with the budget, and over 40 initiatives are included in the Annual Action Plan, and they reflect many of the initiatives councillors have spelt out as a part of the budget, just with the last item. So councillors, the recommendation is that Council adopts the Annual Action Plan for 22-23.
Thank you, Ms Love. Someone like to move that, please? Thank you, Councillor Beard. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Macon, thank you. Councillor Beard.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thank you. Not a lot to say on this one, other than the fact that it links significant plans together, our council plan, and then of course our budget, which is one of the most important things that as councillors we get to do each year. So the Annual Action Plan actually stipulates the initiatives that we're going to do, and it actually gives direction to our officers, foremost, that particularly when it comes to advocacy, I think that's a key action of ours, and that's what our communities expect from us. So the Annual Action Plan is a great measurement for us to be able to see what we're delivering on what we're saying we're going to actually do. So as I said, it comes back to the council plan and then our budget, gives some consistency and continuity between linking all those together. And I think when we reviewed this, we were very conservative when we thought about what we've done in the past. Often we sometimes bite off a bit too much than what we can chew, and I think we've realised that's not a great strategy to have. It looks great to have all these actions to do, but then the best thing is to be able to look back after 12 months and say, well, we've ticked them off and we've been able to deliver them, and that's what our communities expect from us. So I think we've reined it in somewhat, but I think we've been looking at things that are actually more doable, particularly in the current climate around financial constraints. So more than happy to move the recommendation on this one. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Macon.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. No, I don't really have much more to add other than to say that there's lots of items in there that we're currently working on, which is great, and I look forward to seeing what we can achieve in the next 12 months. So, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, nothing further. I'm pleased to say that we're looking at the implementation of the shared library service with Moyne Shire, which is something we can tick off on Friday. As our residents, I'm sure, will know that the Corangamite Regional Library Corporation finishes up this Thursday, and the new shared library service, the Corangamite Moyne Library Service, begins on Friday. So that's exciting times ahead. So I encourage you all to get into your local library and become a member if you're not already. Little plug there for our wonderful library service. Councillors, if there's nothing further, we'll put it to a vote. All in favour? Carried. Item 9.3 is the Asset Plan 2022-2023. Ms Love.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, the Asset Plan is a requirement of the Local Government Act 2020 and is a vital component of the integrated strategic planning and reporting framework. It's a strategic public-facing document that will effectively inform the community on how Council will manage and maintain its infrastructure over a minimum of 10 years, and how that will support the delivery of the community vision and supporting Council's Council plan objectives. Council has an extensive amount of infrastructure and assets, over 2,000 kilometres of roads, 180 buildings, 45 playgrounds. So how we manage those assets has direct implications for our communities. And the primary aim of our asset management is to make sure that we manage and maintain those assets now, but also into the future effectively and efficiently. The asset plan is based on and is intrinsically linked with the Community Vision Council Plan and Financial Plan objectives. And there are a number of key assumptions within the asset plan that are also reflected in the financial plan, and that is that council will remain debt-free, and it's also considered that renewal of assets will be funded before the funding of new assets and upgrade works. Therefore, it's essential that the planning for maintenance and renewal will actually reflect the use of those assets. The current condition of the majority of our assets is in an acceptable condition, and this is denoted by frequent condition assessment audits we do on our various asset classes. That doesn't necessarily say that the assets are still suitable or functional for the current community needs. We will of course engage with community members on a regular basis to ensure that we have current knowledge and sound thinking around the use of our buildings. The asset plan identifies a number of challenges that council are likely to face or are facing, and some of those have been outlined by Councillor Hickey as a part of the budget discussions: rising construction prices, climate change, increases in community expectations, and constrained financial resources. So the asset plan identifies some of those risks and challenges, but also how council can respond to those in the future. During the development of the asset plan, existing strategies and plans were referenced, including the community vision, including council's plan and the financial plan. Community input was sought through the months of May and June. We received 3 submissions, of which have been considered in the development of the draft asset plan. And it's with pleasure that I present the recommendation to revoke the long-term asset management plan that was developed in 2018-19 and adopt our asset plan for 2022 to 2033 in accordance with the Local Government Act.
Thank you, Ms Love, and I apologise, it is 2033, I've got a typo here. I thought it was a very big document for a very short plan, but it's quite amazing, and I'm sure councillors agree, and members of the public, when you see listed about the assets that we do look after, our $644 million worth of infrastructure and property assets. It's quite phenomenal, really. Someone prepared to move the asset plan, councillors? Councillor Hickey, in the seconder. Councillor Cole. Councillor Hickey.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. It's a fair responsibility to have to maintain and look after $644 million worth of community assets, being public halls, public toilets, playing fields, amenities around those playing fields, community centres, heritage buildings, roads, footpaths, curb and channel. It goes on and on and on. It's a fair responsibility to be able to maintain and look after those. So this document does very, very well to address those issues. Again, it's very hard to make sure that it's very difficult to deliver on a lot of the promises. It's quite difficult, as many people know, to get a tradesman at the moment. But I'm quite confident. I'm very confident that the works team through Ms Lovers will be able to achieve this. And certainly, I have no hesitation in recommending the adoption of this new plan.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Cole, did you have something to add?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The asset plan, I think, is very important. Everyone knows that if you don't maintain your assets, whether it be a house on a block in town, a farm or whatever, or a factory, things fall apart and become dangerous and everything else. And this all costs money, and we, as a council, I think, want to maintain our assets the best possible way, to the safest possible means, to make sure they're as usable as possible for everyone, and this is very important document to be doing this, and one of our major priorities, I believe. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Councillors, any further comment? Councillor Beard.
Sorry, through you, Madam Mayor. I just think this is a backbone in a lot of decision making when it comes to our budget deliberations. You know, it's gone through that process of, it's been on the asset management plan, and we trust our staff and our people who are actually doing those audits and review of our assets, and this helps inform us to when we need to do upgrades or whatever capital works. And we've always had a really, I'd like to think since I've been on council, we've had a great asset management platform and plan that we've always been able to rely heavily upon. So I look at it, this has just only been bolstered because of the fact that the Local Government Act had that different requirement. But I don't think by any means that Corangamite Shire has never had a great asset management plan policy. It's always been amazing, and we've always referred to it and trusted it. I think all this does is just, you know, refines it. Yeah, really appreciative for this document because it is a backbone of a lot of things that we do.
Thank you, Councillor Beard, and you're quite right. I think it's interesting this evening to look at the budget, the annual action plan and the asset plan all tying in together. So really, three really important documents. There's nothing further, councillors. I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour? Carried. Item 9.4 is the adoption of the Rural Roadside Management Plan for 2022. Ms Lindley, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to seek Council's consideration of the Rural Roadside Management Plan 2022. Rural roadsides in the Shire are currently managed in accordance with the 2012 Rural Roadside Management Plan, which is a 10-year plan nearing its expiry, clearly. Accordingly, a new Rural Roadside Management Plan has been developed over the past year with extensive community and stakeholder consultation. The plan comprises 3 goals with associated objectives and actions that will provide direction for the management of Council's rural roadsides for the coming 10 years. The 3 goals are, firstly, roadsides are safe and roadside users understand their responsibilities. The second goal is roadsides are well managed to protect their wider values. And the third goal is that the Corangamite Shire Council will provide strong leadership embedding best practice in roadside management. The revised and new Rural Roadside Management Plan, it's a tongue twister, for the next 10 years is before you for consideration. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms Lindley. Councillors, there's a recommendation there. I'm just trying to find it. And that's to the council endorse the Rural Roadside Management Plan for implementation. Someone like to move that motion? Thank you, Councillor Cole. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Vogels. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. This Rural Roadside Management Plan is a pretty tough one because the Shire has 2 or 3 distinct areas. There's some urban rural roadsides. There's the southern end of the Shire and the northern end of the Shire, and all 3 of them have different uses and ways of different ways of being used. Different agricultural industries which have different pulls on the actual roads. So it's a very hard one, but the main thing is the roads have got to be safe for everyone to use, to get along, and that's the main one, I believe, in all things. Safety is paramount, so thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Vogels.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. I think we had 3, I was on the steering committee, we had 3 meetings in the steering committee, but just so much state government legislation ties up everything on the roadsides, and they're more, according to legislation, that and what you can achieve, they're wildlife corridors now, and roadsides takes a smaller part in the wildlife corridor setup, especially in the southern area and maybe in the north as well, with the orchids might be growing somewhere or something like that, so you can't actually maintain or burn or whatever they used to do with the CFA. So we've revised it, and it's taken into consideration all what the stakeholders have said and stuff, and then mainly it's a short document. It's actually, I think it's 20 pages or something to get through the booklet. So you get if you need any information, it's well presented, it's very well done and easy to follow. So everybody knows what they need to achieve on roadsides or keep up with what's going on. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Councillors, anything further? This, as councillors have alluded, this has been a work in progress for a number of months, and I'm really pleased with the document that we've ended up with. Obviously the things like pest and weed control and trees on roadsides, those sorts of things. Safety is absolutely paramount, as well as dealing with issues, as we mentioned before, about climate change and what impact that has on our roadsides. And I must admit, I was really pleased about the education aspect of this document too. So, it's a 20-odd page document, but you can go there and get permissions for works on roadsides. So let's hope a lot of people access it and can have their questions answered. But I will take this opportunity of thanking the members of the public who took part in the project group. Certainly valued their time and their contribution, and also that of Mr. Herbert from our Environment Department. He's certainly did a great job. Councillors, put it to the vote. All in favour? Carried. Item 9.5 is the Small Business Assistant Program Policy Review. Mrs. Lindley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report proposes to revoke the current Small Business Assistance Program policy and adopt an updated policy. The aim of the policy is to encourage businesses, both new and existing, that are located in the Corangamite Shire to innovate, adapt or diversify in order to encourage new projects, services and business ideas that will have a positive impact on both the businesses and, more broadly, economic activity in the Shire. The policy has been reviewed earlier than anticipated to ensure it is responsive to any feedback that we've received from last year's program, and also to ensure that it caters for any new and emerging industries in the Shire. It is intended, however, that this revised policy will apply for the remainder of this council term, so you won't necessarily see it come back again. I know it feels like it's every year, every couple of months, but thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mrs. Lindley. I think it's a work in progress. We just keep giving it a tweak. Councillors, there's a recommendation there. Would someone like to move the recommendation as motion? Councillor Makin, thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hickey. Councillor Makin.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. As Ms Lindley said, the aim of the policy is to encourage businesses, both new and existing, to adapt, diversify and to encourage new projects and services in the business and businesses in the Corangamite Shire. Priority will be given to business startups and projects that are innovative and support the businesses to adapt and diversify. So some examples to be eligible for this policy would be to invest in new infrastructure, electric vehicle charging station, because we know they're going to be coming down this way very shortly, so put them in your place and you never know, you might get a few more visitors to your site. Some energy efficient upgrades, new websites and things like that. And it's a great little policy and assistance program. It's a dollar for dollar basis, so by putting in 5,000, it's capped at 5,000 for us to give to you, but that's 10 grand worth of improvements you could make to your businesses. So I'm pretty happy with this one, and I hope that we get lots of nice new innovative ideas coming through the Shire, because we've got lots of new people with new residents within our Shire at the moment, so that's great. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Terrific. Thank you, Councillor Makin. Councillor Hickey.
Thanks, Mayor. This is a very great initiative, but I encourage people to go through and just read what they need to be eligible for these grants and some of the restrictions that go around them too. And I'm certain that the officers in within the council would be only too pleased to help anyone with a submission if they needed to, if they weren't quite sure as to how to go about doing so. But this assistance program is of great value to small business, and I have no problems recommending the policy be adopted. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillors, any further? All in favour? It's carried. Item 9.6 is the Business Facade Improvement Program Policy Review. Mrs. Henley, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is also to revoke the current Business Facade Improvement Program policy and adopt an updated policy. The program has been highly successful, with over 140 businesses receiving funding as part of the program over the past 7 years. This has led to over $1.2 million being spent on improvements to business facades throughout the Shire, with the majority of works being completed by local tradespeople. While changes to the policy are generally minor, they are proposed as a result of feedback from businesses and the community, and they do strengthen the requirements around the acquittal of public money. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Lilly. Councillors, somebody like to move the recommendation, please? Councillor Beard, thank you. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Vogels. Councillor Beard.
Thank you, through you, Madam Mayor. This is one of our exciting programs that we get to run, and we were I shouldn't say we, but one of our officers actually was the instigator that led to council being the I think we're pretty much the I think a few
Pioneers.
the pioneers. That's the word I was looking for. And then some neighbouring councils have also taken on board. And hey, what a difference it has made to our streetscapes and not just our centre of our towns now. With the policy changes that we've had occur over, I think this is one of the policies we nearly look at every year, based on feedback from participants also, which isn't a bad thing. It keeps us on our toes. But now we've been able to broaden the not just to the town centre, but there is businesses that are actually in other areas of our town that have the rights to access the facade funding as well. So I think I'd love to say we've got it perfect. I don't know if we're ever perfect, but it's really important that if any of the businesses continue to have any issues with acquitting their funds, or thinking that they want to get something but they've already done the work, so we can't fund things retrospectively, but it's really important that we get our business operators or owners to actually speak directly with our council staff. The more that can be sorted out at the onset, then the better the outcome can be, and it can save so much time. But it is certainly a program that we love supporting. You only have to drive through majority of our towns now and see firsthand the benefits of what this program's been able to achieve, and it actually gives our business owners a bit of a pep in the step, particularly over the last couple of years. I'm really excited to see what's going to come out the next rollout of this one, just to see what people are up to, and but as I said, it really does make a difference to a business in terms of giving it a lift. So I'm more than happy to support the recommendation on this one. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Vogels.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Joe's covered it all as usual and covered it again and again and again. But I'm full support. This is what's in your face when you come into town, and it gives you the first impressions are a pretty major impression, and I'm pretty glad to see it go outside of town as well. So out into the businesses that aren't in the middle of town can access it, and that's a good thing. I'm glad we're doing that, so thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Anything further, councillors? All in favour? That's carried. Item 9.7 is contract 2023-002, the supply and loading or supply and delivery of road making materials. Thank you, Ms Love.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, councillors, this contract is critical in the delivery of our capital works program, in particular our annual road construction and maintenance program. The council doesn't own and operate its own quarry, and therefore requires the supply of road making materials from external suppliers. Our current contract expires 30th of June this year, and as such we've sought tender submissions from registered quarries through the month of April and received 8 tender submissions. There was a diverse range of materials offered by the tenderers, and after an assessment from the evaluation panel, it's been recommended that 6 of the 8 tenderers be recommended for this contract. 2 of the tenderers are actually quarries that are located outside of the Shire and would result in exorbitant costs for cartage and sufficient productivity loss should we be sourcing materials from those quarries. Therefore, it's not considered they offer best value for council. Councillors, the recommendation is before you.
Thank you, Ms Love. Councillors, recommendation there for 6 quarries to be awarded the contract. Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Cole. Thank you, Councillor Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor. This is important to make sure we adopt this recommendation, as we don't own, as in the council, the Shire, don't own our own quarry, so we rely on external suppliers to provide the materials necessary to maintain our roads to the standard that we hope to achieve. So with the awarding of this contract, it's been well sought after, and the quality of those quarries who are delivering this product are very high. So I have no problem in moving this recommendation.
Thanks, Councillor Hickey. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through you. As Councillor Hickey said, the roads are important. We sure know about it if there's a pothole, so these people can help us maintain them and keep them filled up. And as he also alluded, we need a variety of materials for the upkeep of all the roads. There's the bitumening roads, there's the gravel roads, some sand roads, I think still. So it's all different materials for different horses for different courses. So very important we get a supply of different materials across the Shire. So.
Thanks, Councillor Cole. Any further councillors? Councillor Vogels.
I'd just like to say, like Ms Love said, there was 8 submissions and they're all quality products and good prices, but distance pulled 2 of them out. But even within the Shire, being a large Shire, 6 gives us access to closer to where we need them. And gravels ain't gravels. You need certain gravels for certain jobs, so you need a lot of different people to get them off. But yeah, all good quality products, and we can access them and keep the cartage costs down, which is not only has always been a killer, but with diesel prices. And reduce our emissions by reducing our travel for the gravels is always a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vogels. Nothing further, councillors. I'll put it to the vote. All in favour? Carried. Item 9.8 is the Chief Executive Officer Annual Report on the performance and activities of Community Asset Committees. Ms Love.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you I present this report on behalf of our Chief Executive Officer, who under Section 47 of the Local Government Act needs to report on the activities and performance of Council's delegated community asset committees. We have 19 community asset committees that were all established in August of 2020, and so this report is for the financial year for 2020-2021, which of course relates to the period of the pandemic. And so whilst the good intentions to offer opportunities through our community facilities were made, of course they were impacted by the pandemic. Consequently, there's limited activity and performance to report for this financial year. But the recommendation is before Council to note this as being the Chief Executive Officer's annual report to Council.
Thank you, Ms Love, and it's quite amazing when you add them all up, and there's 19, so there's a lot of community volunteers in that group. Councillors, someone like to move that recommendation, please? Thank you, Councillor Beard. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Hickey. Councillor Beard.
Through you, Madam Mayor, I'm happy to move the motion on this recommendation. Even just having a look at all those community asset committees, that's hundreds of volunteers that these communities that we wouldn't have if we didn't have these committees. So how lucky are we? And I look at what's happened over the last couple of years, and we could look at the pandemic as, I know, having been on quite a few committees myself, that volunteerism has dropped. But then there's been some that have really bucked the trend, and having spoken to a few within my own community at Cobden, they actually had a resurgence of volunteers, and to the point where people are just really wanting be connected and be involved. They may not necessarily be able to do the physical work, but they're always still to be there and say, look, I'm here if you need me for something else. But I think this is just a great reflection of what can actually happen in our communities without us even really realising even goes on behind the scenes. A lot of our people in our community don't even know that these committees even exist. So when we see their reports and their financial reports at the end of August and that, it's pretty astounding to see what's actually been achieved by each of these committees. But I think we're through, hopefully I'd like to think we're through the worst of it when we talk about the pandemic and everyone's back at it as best they can, but really excited to see what the next 12 months can deliver from these amazing community volunteers. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Beard. Councillor Hickey.
I was thinking, Mayor, it is amazing, isn't it, when there's 19 community asset committees that do govern and support the continued use of these committees. And I'd just encourage everybody who is using these committees to just look at the governance of them, and just maybe put their hand up and join one of the committees just to see how they actually run. I doubt very much whether anyone would be knocked back from joining a committee, but yeah, I think you'd be welcome with open arms. So there's 19 of them. There's a lot of range from community halls, from swimming pools to public reserves.
Cemetery.
A cemetery, there's a cemetery here, thank you, Councillor Cole. So I encourage everybody to make themselves known with those community assets and get involved and make a difference to your community.
Thanks, Councillor Hickey. Councillors, anything further? All in favour? That's carried. Thank you. Item 9.9 is the Community Satisfaction Survey for 2022. Mr. Plaza.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report is to present the results of the 2022 Community Satisfaction Survey to Council. The Community Satisfaction Survey is an annual undertaking for all Victorian councils that is administered by the State Government's Department of Jobs, Precincts and Regions. The purpose of the survey is to gauge the overall satisfaction of the municipal community with council's performance across a range of different measures. Just on the methodology, a total of 400 interviews were completed between the 27th of January and the 24th of March 2022. Minimum quotas of gender and ages were met during the fieldwork phase, and following that a process of post-survey weighting was conducted to ensure accurate matching to the profile of the Corangamite Shire Council area. Overall, across the state, there's been a slight fall in satisfaction. This is something we've seen sector-wide with both the overall average and the large rural shires average experiencing a down year to the relative high year of 2021. Council has experienced a fall that's broadly in line with its overall result, but it still performs very strongly relative to its peers. Most of its results being well above comparable scores in both the overall average statewide and the large rural shires average. The recommendation is to note the report and to publish it.
Thank you, Mr. Plaza. Councillors, someone like to move that recommendation?
Sure.
Thank you, Councillor Macon. And can I have a seconder, please? Councillor Beard.
Oh, Councillor Beard got it. Excellent.
Councillor Macon.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. When we first got this report, we were all a bit like, damn, we've sort of gone down in our status. But as always, the customer service has been going above and beyond. They're up again in a couple of points. So it just shows that everyone loves talking to the people on the phones in the office at the Corangamite Shire, and they do a lovely job out the front and helping with everyone's inquiries and everything else. So they all do a good job down there, and they should be congratulated for how they present themselves to the community and everyone else around. Even though we've taken a little bit of a dip, everyone across the state has taken a dip, so we can't be too hard on ourselves. I will make a little note that the people in the under 50, so that's me. I don't know how many more others around this room, but that's me. We would like our councillor newsletter via the mail. As we all know, we love digital technology and everything else, but we get a lot of emails and everything else, and if I don't read it then and there, well then I'm never going to read it. So if I get a councillor newsletter via the mail or I see it in a shop, I will actually sit down and read it. So we quite like things in paper now and then, even though we are quite tech savvy. This little generation of mine. Other than that, I think we should be quite proud of what we've achieved. We are a council that is punching above its weight, and we can show lots of other councils around the state how to do it, and I'm very proud of what we achieved. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Macon. Councillor Beard.
Through you, Madam Mayor, and yes, I'm in that under 50 bracket, just in case you're wondering who else is with you, still proudly. Not that it's competition or anything. Look, I think we received the community satisfaction survey. It's a bit like when you're at school and you get your report card. I think as an organisation, we do take into account this is a true reflection of us, and I love that we actually get 400 people who take, because it isn't a 5-minute survey. It is not that I've done one myself, I don't think, but no, because we're not meant to. No. But from what I've been told, they are quite lengthy. So we do appreciate the residents that do take their time to give us this feedback. It is a reflection of not only the organisation, but also as us as councillors. And I think it reiterates, we know how lucky we are and what an amazing organisation that we get to be part of, but this just I guess amplifies what we probably already know. There's been a couple of dips, but I think you look at the couple of years we've had, and just people generally, I think, just aren't in as good a happier mind space as what we've perhaps been in the past, and where we don't give enough credit due at oftentimes to where we should. So I think the mentality sometimes can be lost, that we're just generally a bit down and out to it. So it depends on what day people got rung up onto as to how they were feeling in regards to their local council. I think as you'd mentioned, Councillor Macon, the fact that our customer service team keep getting year after year, keep going up in the stakes. I mean, that's just, they're our front door really, aren't they? So we're very fortunate to have that team that continually help support us and help us to do the jobs that we need to do. There's also the local roads, sealing of local roads. That's a real bugbear of mine. It has been every single year, and I think we've always tried to address it in some way or another, but it's actually usually not our roads are the ones that people are knocking. It's a arterial road network, but our community don't always know which one belongs to who. So we've always tried to work on that and try to drill down into which roads people are actually not happy with, and then we try to address that obviously through budget process and try and get some communicative about it, to see what the roads are that people are actually concerned about. But all in all, I think the fact that we're still above outperforming the large rural shires and statewide averages, I think we should be really, really happy with this as a council. And I said, it's not just us, it's our entire staff. So it's an exciting one to read again, but we'll keep going through the next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. Councillor Hickey.
Thank you, Mayor. And just for the record, to Councillor Macon, I was formerly in the under 50s year group there at one stage, so things do progress and change along. Likewise, when I first saw this survey, when I first became aware of it, I thought it was not particularly this one, but the whole concept of it was a very interesting way to be able to judge the report card of our Shire and how things are progressing. So whilst some of the areas are down, I think that's good. Well, I don't think it's good. I think it's great that it gives us an area of focus now. We can actually look what those areas are, not considered as highly as well regarded within our Shire. So it does give us a bit of a working template to be able to work through and make improvements. But I'd say, look, overall it's quite good, and certainly well and truly in keeping with the trend across the whole state.
Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Councillors, anything further? I don't think we should be too hard on ourselves when we look at sealed local roads, because we did do a huge jump of up 9 points to last year and we've only dropped back 1. But I think, as you say, Councillor Hickey, it certainly sharpens our focus and reiterates that particularly the amount that we're spending in our budgets is it's streamlined. It's going to sealed local roads. So we're listening to our 400 residents who participated in this survey, and with regards to customer service, I'll just give a big shout out to every single member of Corangamite Shire staff, because you're people who are facing the public. So it's not just the customer service from our wonderful customer service team at the front desk, it's every single staff member who deals or interacts with the public, and how the reaction that they get and the conversations that they have. So I think it's a great result and continues to be our highest performer. So well done to them. Can I put that motion to the vote if there's no further comments, councillors? All in favour? Carried. Now the happiest item of the night is 9.10, the quick response grants allocation for June 2022, and we've just about made it to the finishing line. I think, Mrs. Lindley, I'll pass to you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report is to consider the June allocation of funds as part of the Quick Response Grants program. Applications for this program are considered as they are received and are assessed against criteria including alignment with the council plan, benefit to the community and eligible expenditure. The annual budget allocation for the program is $17,500. Applications have been received from 6 community organisations for June. These are the Progressing Cobden for the relocation and set-up costs of the Cobden Visitor Information Centre, the Simpsons Bowls Club Incorporated for the purchase of a square EFTPOST facility, the Southwest Model Engineers Incorporated for the purchase of batteries for their battery electric trains, the Terang Mortlake Football Netball Club Incorporated for the supply of bark for a garden beautification project, the Courthouse Camperdown Incorporated for the purchase of an ergonomically suitable chair, and the Timboon Field and Game Club Incorporated for the purchase of a barbecue and weed sprayer. As the amount applied for in this final month of the financial year exceeds the overall annual budget allocation, there are a number of options that Council might want to consider. The first is allocating funds as requested by the applicants. This would see an over budget expenditure of $18. Option 2, allocating the funds for a reduced amount to bring this month's allocation in line with the overall budget, or not allocating funds. Officers are required or bound by the policy, and that we are recommending option 2, which means a reduction of $18 to the Southwest Model Engineers Incorporated, so bringing back their payment to $482 rather than the $500, but and noting that this recommendation it was the last application received of the 6. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Lindley, and I apologise that the revolving chair is going to have to continue because I've just realised that the courthouse, I did read that earlier when I was reading my agenda, and I had overlooked the fact of it when I was having discussions with the budget. So I will declare yet another conflict of interest with Camperdown Courthouse and ask Ms. Love to appoint an acting chair for this item.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, third time's a charm. As the Mayor has indicated a conflict of interest, could I have nominations for an acting chair to consider item 9.10? Councillor Martin.
I nominate Councillor Jobin, please go to the chair.
Do I have a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Hickey. All those in favour? Thank you, councillors. Councillor Beard.
Wasn't quite ready for that one. Thank you, councillors. So we're on to page 155. So the recommendation is before us. I'll ask someone to move that recommendation, please. Councillor Hickey, and a seconder. Councillor Cole. Thank you. Should have known that one. Councillor Hickey, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is the happiest kingdom of all, isn't it? We're able to help out people along the way, and congratulations to the organisations who have been able to secure funding around this time. The small amounts of money can make a big difference to smaller groups, and does help them move along. It's interesting that still the Central Ward has $88 left over, so I'm hoping that gets carried over into next year. However, we'll see how that goes. But look, congratulations to the applicants and the recipients of the small grants and the quick response grant. And yes, I think this is a great initiative that should be continued into the next year.
And just for clarification, Councillor Hickey, there's actually no money left for anyone. I think you'll find we had to come up $18 short. And I'll have you note too, I think the South Central Ward spotted $500 this year. So I'm expecting next financial year that people will remember that. But no. Councillor Cole, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Beard. I also note that the Coastal Ward came up, they had $2 left. So that's not even a cup of coffee, really. So
we're all helping each other out, I
get some
think,
international
this one.
roast up there. We've said it before, Councillor Hickey said it, it helps a lot of people out a lot of the time, and it's a good thing that we're doing. It's a pity that the Southwest Model Engineers came up $18 short, but hopefully they'll still be able to recharge their batteries for a bit and keep going. So, I have no trouble in moving this one, so thank you.
Thank you. Councillors, any further comments or queries? So we've managed to come within budget. Unfortunately, there was $18 less to the Southwest Model Engineers, but hopefully that will still enable them to do the project that they're needing to do. So, councillors, put that to the vote. All those in favour? Councillor Hickey's got his hand the highest I've seen all night. There you go. Thank you. That motion's carried. We'll now get the Mayor back. Oh, she was standing right there.
Thank you, councillors, and thank you, Councillor Beard. I think you've sat in the chair this evening for me. I really appreciate it. Councillors, is there any other business tonight? No, we have nobody in open forum. There was no questions received, Ms Love. Okay, prior to, we do have confidential items this evening, but prior to calling for a motion to suspend standing orders, I'd just like to take this opportunity of thanking Mr David Madden for sitting in the role of Corporate and Community Services Director for the past 2 months. We've certainly appreciated having you as part of our team, David, and the wisdom and knowledge that you've brought. So we wish you all the very best, and again, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Madam.
Councillors, can I ask for someone to move a motion to suspend standing orders, please? Thank you, Councillor Hickey. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Beard. All in favour? That's carried. Can I thank those who have been watching our meeting online this evening and wish you all the very best. Thank you.